So, hello everyone, welcome to the Cyprus at 60 online festival organized by the Cyprus High Commission in the UK to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the independence and establishment of the Republic of Cyprus. This one is our third live event, a panel discussion around the topic of technology and the arts in the time of coronavirus. Clearly, the pandemic has affected dramatically the arts and culture sector. However, it has also revealed the great resilience of art and artists themselves in inventing new ways to communicate with the audience and remain creative even at times of lockdown. Technology has facilitated such new ways of creating and communicating art. Today, we're looking at 3 online exhibitions that emerged during the lockdown, curated by Cypriot creative teams. Together Apart, Going New Places, an online exhibition organized by the Cyprus High Commission and curated by Marina Hadjilouca. Hi, Marina.
Hi.
Rignosis, an online exhibition curated by Lefki Savidou and Eleni Agkastiniotou. We have Eleni with us. Hi.
Hello.
And Visual Space, which is actually a series of online interventions curated by Mikaella Melanidou and Katerina Patsalidou. And we have Mikaella with us today. Hi, Mikaella.
Hello.
Last but not least, we have the pleasure of having on our company Dr. Nissiotis, our expert in immersive technologies and virtual environments, who will present to us all the cutting-edge technology available out there for all those of you who want to engage in online art interventions. So, good afternoon, everyone, and we will start our presentations now, beginning with Luis.
Hello, everyone. Just let me quickly share my presentation screen. Could you just confirm that you can see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so thank you very much for the introduction and the invitation, actually, Marios. I am Dr. Nissiotis. I'm a lecturer at the University of Central Lancashire, the Cyprus campus, and I'm specializing in the use of immersive technologies, virtual, augmented, mixed reality environments, and their application into cyber-physical social systems. So today, what we're going to try to discuss in this short time we've got available is how immersive technologies can be used to support the arts during and after the pandemic. So starting this presentation, first of all, we all know the effects of COVID-19, all the disruptions, the lockdown, the self-quarantine, all these social isolation, the social distancing, all these nightmares that this pandemic has introduced into our lives, which is negatively impacting almost all the industrial sectors. And looking into the sector of into the domain of arts, you know, there has been temporary closures, issues with empty exhibition spaces, a lot of spaces actually reducing on reduced capacity. People are actually afraid to go out. They try to social distance as much as they can. There is the issue of loss of audience, all the associated costs that come with all these, and unfortunately much, much more. So a lot of artists, a lot of performance, organizations, galleries, festivals and exhibitions, as we're going to see today into this webinar, they've managed to transition into the digital world. You know, there are so many streaming services, web, the use of multimedia. We will see a lot of examples today. One of the technologies that has been used during this pandemic and also has future implementation missions is the use of immersive XR technologies, among others. I'm going to try to explain what these are. And first of all, it's important to understand what we mean when we say immersive technologies. So it's the technology that creates or extends digital reality. So we're talking about virtual, augmented, and mixed reality technologies. And one of the most important affordances are the feelings of presence and immersion, where the user is feeling that is leaving the physical space and it exists into a virtual space. And as I said, most commonly, we're talking about VR, AR, and mixed reality. Virtual reality is when we're using a head-mounted display. The user is immersing into a complete digital environment, a synthetic experience, which is the user is isolated from the real world and it exists into another world. Whereas on augmented reality is the familiar concept of using smartphones and overlaying digital content on top of the real world. And we also have the mixed reality applications. There are all these new technologies, all those glasses that they're augmenting digital artifacts into the real world, where we can also manipulate using gestures, etc., etc. And this is the concept of the XR, as we call the extended or cross reality. This is the umbrella term that represents these digital experiences. It's a placeholder for the V, the A, and the M on the different realities. So whenever we're referring to XR, it means that I'm talking about VR or AR and also mixed reality. There is also the concept of the multi-user virtual environments, which we're talking about 3D virtual worlds where the users can meet with each other in the same virtual space, and they can navigate, they can interact with the environment and with each other with the use of their avatar, which is essentially their virtual representation in the virtual world. Such environments allows access in synchronous activities. It could be fairs, it could be exhibitions, it could be conferences. So literally, people meet with each other in these virtual spaces, and they are together, and they're forming a sense of a community in the virtual space. And this concept has been out for some time now. And I'm going to show some examples. As you can see, this is the virtual suicidal campus in which we were using to allow students to learn different computing concepts. As you can see, you can see different users coexisting in the same world, communicating and interacting with each other. This is a workshop that we have been delivering. As you can see, it's a gallery style application where people are represented by their avatars, and they can communicate using voice over IP and text or chat. This is examples of the Immersive Learning Research Network conference, which was a massive conference that took place entirely online as a result of the pandemic. Again, a conference social exhibition space. These are other examples from Google, from Mozilla Hubs, making actual examples of exhibition spaces being ported online using virtual environments, also social virtual environments, where, as I said, people can meet and can interact with each other. This is the Apart exhibition, which was posters from social distance. This took place in Mozilla Hub's virtual environment. So there's so many technologies. So this, if we're looking at from a holistic point of view, we now have the opportunity to converge all these smart interactive technologies and take it a step further. We have XR, we've got robots, we've got social networks, we've got all these amazing technologies. So there are actually examples, and this is where we are heading together with my research collaborator, Luba Albu from Sheffield Hallam University, in creating some kind of a cyber-physical eco-society system, where is the concept of merging the real world virtual worlds using disruptive interacting technologies. This is an example of a virtual gallery that we're using to project the real and the virtual world using social interactions. As you can see, we've got different avatars which are communicating with each other. We've got the virtual exhibition space, and we've got a robot which is projecting the real world in the virtual world, hence merging environments. So there are a ton of, this is an example of the communication chat. There are a lot of examples. A virtual museum that we have developed when I was in Sheffield for Sheffield Hallam University, and there are so many examples. I could talk for an hour about all these examples. But what I'm going to try to convey is that these immersive technologies provide premises for innovating practices, providing different ways of attending events, of attending exhibitions, participating in fairs. It supports to develop realistic and or experiences that may deviate from reality completely, and it could provide a different kind of experience. It's important that the use of those technologies can support continuity, can allow the continuity of the industry to carry on. It can still support the exposure of the artists, inclusivity, especially in the time of isolation. It can allow us to bring people together into the social VR spaces. And it's all about exploiting technology with a purpose. So I tried to put as much and I say as much as I could in such a short time because I'm conscious of time. But thank you very much for listening. And I will now stop sharing my screen and give it back to Marios so we can carry on the conversation. Thank you.
Luis, that was fascinating. It was a fantastic presentation. Thank you very much. And
thank you. Thank you.
Wow, there are so many tools, amazing tools out there for not only for the arts, but also for all kinds of conferences or fairs. So useful, and for a moment it felt like a sci-fi scenario, but it looks like it's more than real. It's a virtual reality, but it's a reality. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Marina, shall we continue with your presentation, please?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Luis, for this amazing presentation. I'm Marina Hadjilouca. I'm a performance designer, a researcher, and also I recently, during the lockdown, I curated the exhibition Together Apart, as Mario said earlier. Can you please just confirm that you can see my screen really quickly? Yep. Brilliant. So during the lockdown, and as the museums and the galleries and the theaters shut down, and a lot of the events had started moving online, that was at the very beginning of the lockdown, we felt that we felt the need to also respond to this, and we created this online exhibition where we invited 7 Cypriot artists to explore themes of togetherness, of distance, of alienation, things that notions that were popping up during the lockdown, and also the reimaginings of the divide between the private and the public space, which again, it was something that we had to renegotiate during the lockdown, not just in our homes, but also in our screens and our relationship with the screens. So what is public, what is private, and well, just to mention the artists, I shouldn't forget to mention the names. Was Huna Damoglu, Michalis Haralambous, Dimitra Kalitsi, Panagiotis Mina, Alexandros Pisurios, Mala Shamtani, Natalie Yaksi. And it was really interesting for us. It was quite important, basically, for us to invite artists that come from different disciplines, and they can explore these notions online and bring their disciplines online in a way. So how a performance artist, for example, Dimitra Kalitsi, she's usually a performance artist and works a lot with interacting with the audience, how she would transfer her work onto a website, basically. So what she did is that she created these Western haikus in the Cypriot dialect, and she narrated them for us, for the audience. And then again, we had Huna Damoglu, who wasn't used to exhibiting online in such a way, because he's a painter and he's used to exhibiting in galleries his paintings that are quite large scale, that in galleries. So it was a discussion of how do we bring these paintings onto the website without in a way losing or changing the essence of the painting. I should just say that most of the works, or all of the works, were created during the lockdown and for the purposes of this exhibition. And again, we had, as part of the exhibition, we had 2 parallel events. One of the events was with the artists, and it was a very brilliant discussion to see where they shared in a way their experience of their studio work in isolation in a way, and how they brought that back to the audience in a virtual way. And at that discussion, we also talked about the mobility, which I suppose it would make a really nice link with what what Luis was saying earlier, now that we're not able to attend as easily international events or biennales, how the technology would come in a way into our lives and sort of make things easier for us. And just to say, before I finish, I should just also say that in my curatorial note, I invited the audience to, in a way, to explore how they experience the online exhibition when they position themselves in their room, in their living room, in their office, and their bodies in front of their laptop screens, and how they experience an exhibition in this way, where usually you would be in the gallery. So thinking of the place orientation of that. And with that, I'll pass it on back to you, Maria.
Thank you very much, Marina. That was a beautiful presentation of Together Apart, Going New Places, which is actually one of the reasons that we are here on this panel today, because it was one of the Going New Places part of this online art intervention that we had back in May. And I'll pass it on to Eleni and Agkastiniotou to present us their project. So if Marina could stop sharing the screen.
Sorry, yes.
Yes, thank you. And Eleni will present to us Rignosis.
Yeah. So can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, well, we've created this online exhibition with visual artist Lefki Savidou. And basically it came again a few days after the lockdown because we felt sort of paralyzed that nothing was happening, and we wanted to mobilize the artist to get creative, and also the viewer to have the art lovers to enjoy art within the lockdown. So in this online exhibition, if you can see, okay, this is the first video, we have the theme in this exhibition is the post-corona era. So we have invited artists to envision the post-corona era, taking into consideration the socio-political aspects and the rearrangement that will take place in a new society, let's say. And because in the lockdown, it was a time of introspection, so everybody was reflecting on how the world works or how we work and what do we want to do after that and so on. So we thought of Rignosis as an idea of regaining knowledge, of adapting to a new reality. So again, like Marina said, this is also a multidisciplinary exhibition. We had video art, visual artists, performances, music, 3D art. I mean, I'm just scrolling down so you can see a bit of the exhibition. And illustration as well. So we had artists from, we had 17 artists from 12 countries, including Cyprus. From Cyprus, I want to name the artists. From Cyprus were Androula Kafa, Evi Dimitriou, which is a dance performer, Lefki Savidou, and Maria Antoniadou. And from abroad, it was from the US, Andreas Sonnenberg, Baptiste Berlot from France, Bas Cyprus from the Netherlands, Fumiaki Asai from Japan. This is him right here. Gerald Zahn from Austria, Johanna Dumet, Johanna Walterdorf from Germany, Luka Zwierbowski from Poland, Matt Lloyd from Great Britain, Moritz Berg from Germany, Nalisa Green from Greece, Nika Kupirova from the Ukraine, and Sergio Pradana from Spain. So basically, I mean, the exhibition is still on, anyone can view it. we the curation we wanted to I approached it as a blank page. I wanted to approach it as a wall, basically, as a metaphor, like bringing the gallery wall online, let's say. And so we kept it completely minimal, and so the viewer can pay attention to the artworks, and then by clicking on it, then you can read about the artists and their interpretations of our theme that was given to them. This is basically it. We had a section for comments, so anybody could have left their comments there. We received some beautiful comments, which was nice. And basically, this is it. I want to thank Lefki very much, because she took care of the technical part of the exhibition, and she really did a great job. And I thank her for it. That's it from me.
Thank you very much, Eleni. That was fascinating. Thank you. And I have some questions for you, but questions will follow the presentations. So our last presentation for this panel discussion is from Mikaella, Melanidou, and their project Visual Space.
So hello, I'm Mikaella Melanidou. I need to share my screen. Since the exhibition is not on right now, we're keeping archive. I'll show you a video with our 2 exhibitions and navigate you through the virtual experience. Can everybody see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mikaella, I'm one of the co-founders of Visual Space, a platform that we have created with Katerina Patsalidou. Visual Space, it's an online platform that aims to promote emerging artists and other online content. It has started during the beginning of the pandemic, when all the galleries were forced to close. We have announced an open call for our first exhibition, since it was called Art Still Flourishes. The message of this, as you can see, the exhibition, the message of this exhibition was that art is still flourishing, even in these difficult times. Constantly responding and reacting to every political, economic, and sociological changes, the arts are there to remind us of our history, comfort us today, and provide us with courage to face the future. Well, the idea was that creation will always be celebrated. So the aim of this exhibition was to showcase the artist's message and point of view in today's world, considering the current pandemic. We had artists from worldwide countries, such as like United States, Germany, Finland, France. There was a multidisciplinary exhibition. We had mediums of artworks like painting, sculptures, photography, and digital art. The exhibition shown right now is our second exhibition. It was a virtual exhibition. Since we want to constantly change and evolve as a platform, we want to add more interactive elements to our exhibitions, and we wanted to make it look more real. We became members of the Idea Innovation Center in Cyprus, which is an accelerator for startups. I would like to say that all of our exhibitions are around 3 weeks, and then all of them are saved on our archive page. We can have a look on our archive page. Okay. So this is our website. So this is our Art Still Flourishes, the first exhibition. We're keeping like only the artworks with some artist information, materials, the creation date, because some of them were not created during the pandemic, but they could make a fit. So these are some of, as you can see, there are like photography, digital arts, and collages, paintings, and more. And currently we're on our third open call. So we will create another virtual exhibition. And that's all for me.
Thank you, Mikaella, and good luck with the new project that you can tell us about, and you can share the open call on our discussion today. Now I've got some questions for you guys. I've got 4 main questions: the question of relevance, the question of reception and audience, the question of participation, and the question of money. I'll start with the, with the easy things. So how relevant might such exhibitions be in, let's say, 1 or 5 or even 20 years from now? So these particular exhibitions with these particular themes, do you think that they record a particular historical moment or event, for example, the pandemic, or did you try to communicate broader preoccupations, more existential or even more diachronic? Eleni?
Yes, well, although our subject was the post-corona era, it was after corona, but I think, I mean, if you view our exhibition, the artists address core issues like freedom, the turn towards nature, or capitalism, and so on, which are main subjects that artists usually express themselves, let's say. So besides some artworks that are considered to be the current issues of the corona, I think in our exhibition, at least, these are diachronic preoccupations at the end of the day, let's say.
Thank you. Marina?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as I said in my presentation, even though the thematics and the exhibition was born through lockdown or through a response in lockdown, I think the thematics of distance, of alienation, and of course of the private and the public space are themes that are quite diachronic and are and again, I mean, in a way, they're notions that are constantly or also being renegotiated in a way and changing. So I think they will be relevant. We will be discussing about private and public space in 20 years' time and about alienation in 20 years' time, but it might be different than what it was during the lockdown.
Luis, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to attempt to answer this question from a technological point of view, and I do believe that this visual technologies, the use of technology, immersive environments, the web, the social VR, the things that we've seen from Mikaella, from Eleni, and from Marina, and all these things that the artists have been doing, I think they will play a significant part in the not so distant future, and I do believe that they will carry on being used to support not only arts but a wide range of domains in the industry, the society, and our lives in general. Because apart from these unprecedented times that we're living in, with the pandemic, the use of these technologies can actually support other fields like the ongoing efforts for reducing emissions, overcoming barriers in accessibility as a result of geographical dispersion, restrictions, political reasons. These tools can be used to, allow access, raise awareness of topics, of artists. It gives you opportunities to showcase your work into people that they wouldn't otherwise be able to attend. And considering all these emerging technologies and the significant technological advancements over the years, virtual reality, machine learning, robotics, the future will involve the use of these technologies in ways that will disrupt the way we experience art, we communicate, we interact with real and virtual worlds and with each other at the end of the day. So I do think that these technologies are here to stay. Yeah, this is my...
Well, it's certainly your job, so you need to support it and you need to justify it and convince us that they are here to stay. But yeah, I also believe that they are here to stay, and even in post-lockdown or in post-corona eras that we hope that they will come soon here in London as well. I think that there will always be now that we have been so accustomed to this online virtual world that there will be some kind of hybridity. So I suppose that all exhibitions or interventions or even conferences in other sectors, not just the arts, will always have this kind of hybrid character. Now, the question is, what is the audience for this kind of virtual online exhibitions? Is it is this kind of communicating art opening up the arts into a wider public, or is it on the contrary excluding some groups of people? So what's your take on this, guys? Mikaella?
I think that the audience for such exhibitions are mostly millennials. I'll say like under 40 years old. I think they are more comfortable buying and seeing art online than other ages.
Is this your experience from your exhibition?
Yeah. They were mostly like 18 to 35 years old, our audience. And it was mostly from United States and United Kingdom.
Okay. What's the opinion of the other guys on the panel? So what do you think in terms of reception and audiences? Marina?
I mean, for sure, I think Mikaella she's right about the age, in a way, the age limitations. But at the same time, I think it was something that we talked a lot about during our panel discussions, and it came also from the artists that were taking part in the exhibition, that through the online, which we should say that the one doesn't cancel the other. So it doesn't mean that someone, if they're participating in an online exhibition, they wouldn't want to do a physical exhibition anymore. But through the online, they're able to reach a broader audience and abroad at the same time. And I think it was Hun that was saying that he found himself suddenly using social media a lot more and posting his work a lot more through the lockdown, because the galleries were closed. There are still closed, some of them in the UK. Which means that for an artist who is usually gallery based and gallery represented, the mode of working had to change and sharing their work in a way, if it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Eleni?
Well, I think it should be used as an opportunity from also young people who do not have anything to do with the arts or are not accustomed, or they don't know anything about it. Now they just, with one click, they can learn so much from the arts. They can either visit an exhibition or visit a museum or take educational courses. So I think this could benefit people who are not accustomed or are not into arts, let's say, and bring them closer to a culture. So I think it's one important thing that should be happening.
Thank you. Luis, what do you think?
From the point of our work in research and innovation, and when it comes to the audience, what we try to do is to introduce technology into our lives, and most importantly, not to just introduce it, to be able to meaningfully use it and use it with a purpose. So it's all about trying to find ways of reducing the barriers and the resistance of technology, and be able to allow everyone from a wide range of ages and demographics to be able to use the technology. And it's all about working on finding clever ways to allow a good user experience, make sure that it's easy to use, that the content is perceivable, the content is easily understandable. We've seen the examples earlier on. I mean, if you go a few years ago, most of those things that we're discussing today were not even possible because of the limitations we had. Whereas now we can create environments, we can post high quality artifacts for public use. So I think I think the lockdown, if there was anything positive from the lockdown, it was the sudden shift to realizing that there are methods out there that we could use. The more important thing is to understand that obviously we're not trying to replace the traditional ways of the exhibitions and showcasing the art, but it's just a different alternative way that can be used when some people cannot access it. So I don't have any demographics on, I don't know how the demographics were looking at those exhibitions, but yeah, from the experience I have, we had a lot of people using our environment from the age of 18 all the way up to the age of 70, 75 years old. So it's all about how easy you make the system for everyone to use, how effective it is, how engaging, what's the actual motivation, is the purpose of having it. So if there is a purpose, I genuinely feel that people will be using these technologies.
I agree with you. And I think that the audiences are expanding more and more every day, and especially during lockdown. I mean, even my dad has an Instagram account now, and he's looking at everything. So, and he's in his 70s. So I don't think that it's not accessible anymore to older age groups. So I think it is what Eleni has suggested, that it is all a matter of acculturation and also I would add how we communicate all these interventions with the audiences, and what tools we use to promote these events as well, not just organize them, but also how do we promote them. Now, I would like to ask some question in terms of participations of your selection process. So Mikaella has already said that they are doing an open call. So can you tell us a little bit more about that process, please?
So we're announcing on our website our open call with, if there is a specific theme, we'll describe our subject, so artists can know how to have a relevance of the artworks to the subject. There is an application form at the bottom. We're asking for a CV to see their profession, what kind of art they're doing, and then a small description of their artworks, as well as the names, creation date, and all. And afterwards, all the applications are in one place. So I'm starting to choosing the most relevant to the subject artworks. And this is how the whole selection is happening. Mm-hmm. And then we're like informing the artists that will take part, and we're announcing it on our Instagram page so everyone can know.
So this whole process is promoted online.
Yes.
And what is the response by artists? I mean, were you surprised? Were you disappointed? I mean,
at the first one, the Aster Flourishes, that was during the lockdown, I was so surprised on how many applications we have received. And it was a realization that actually people are at home and actually doing art. The second one was a more not so broad as a theme. So we didn't receive as many applications. But on our third one now, we didn't choose to put a specific theme, and we are receiving like numerous of applications every day. So I think it depends on the subject. If there is a subject, people are more afraid, I think, I'll say, how to be more related.
Okay, I see. We've lost Marina for a couple of minutes, but she's back again. What is the deadline for your new call, Mikaella?
It's today.
Oh, okay.
Tonight, yeah. And
so cannot really advertise it.
They still have time, but our exhibition is on the 19th of October.
19th of October. And what will be the subject this time?
We chose not to have any subject.
All right.
It's a little bit more broad, and we just called it our autumn exhibition.
All right. And will you use a particular tool from the ones that Luis, for example, has presented to us? Or, I mean, is it going to be like a virtual exhibition this time, or how is it?
It will be like a virtual, like our second one. But we will choose like a different gallery space, I'll say, to make it more like extended. I think the artworks don't really fit to that one as well. So we'll try to like make it more bigger and more contemporary.
Okay. Eleni, so what was your selection process?
Our process, we didn't have an open call. We actually invited artists. So basically, we selected artists by knowing their work, what they do. Some were friends, some were artists that we follow and we like, and we just contacted them. And we're glad they accepted our invitation. And yeah, basically it was per invite.
That's great. How many of them were there?
17.
17. Amazing.
Yes.
And it was international group of artists as well, yeah?
Yes. The 4 were Cypriots, the rest were international.
Great. Marina?
Yeah. So for us, it was, as it was under the auspices of the Cyprus High Commission in the UK, the artists were Cypriots. We decided that they were all going to be Cypriots. And we did sort of a selection. It was it was by invitation. Half of the artists were based in Cyprus, and the others were based in the UK. And from the beginning, as I said in my presentation, it was very important for us that it was a multidisciplinary exhibition. So we chose in a way artists that came from completely different backgrounds and disciplines. It was mainly through research, and some obviously we both knew from before and followed and seen their work, and some we discovered through the process.
I will stand on the point that that you mentioned about interdisciplinarity. So So do you think, generally, guys, that these kind of new technological tools actually open up new spaces, perhaps to even reframe the meaning of visual arts, of the fine arts? So we're not limited anymore to a physical space. We're not limited to the traditional painting or sculpture. So what do you think? What is your evaluation of this, Luis?
Well, I do think that we can look at it from a different perspective, and the ability of using those technological advancements, the computer graphics and everything. We have opportunities to, for example, recreate artifacts that they're either damaged or they may not even exist, and actually allow people to be able to visit them through these virtual spaces. We have opportunities, such as the examples I've mentioned earlier, of having agents like robots or drones in physical spaces, but then looking how the physical space it is now as we speak, and then through the virtual space to see how the environment was before, let's say 2,000 years ago. So it's the concept of merging realities, of being able to see what's going on now, how it was before, and then the ability not only to recreate those situations, but also take them a step further and introduce the social element. Allow people to visit this place from remote locations through the use of the avatar and be able to engage in those important social interactions that will make the experience more meaningful, more sociable, more engaging, more interactive, and all in all. So there are so many technologies these days that can be used to support, and as I said, take it to the next level and go outside of the standard 2D screen and bring the third or maybe the fourth dimension, if there is such a thing to it. So yeah.
Thank you, Luis. Yes, Eleni?
Well, I just want to say that I think this time it is a turning point in history, maybe art history. I don't know, although online art has existed for decades. But I think now it changes how artists think, and it pushes them to gain more technological knowledge, cooperate with scientists or with developers. It's opening new possibilities of experimentations for the artists by using this virtual world. And I don't know if it's for them negative or positive. It either encourages them to do it or pushes them. I don't know, but I think there is a force towards that path. So it's an opportunity. It is an opportunity for artists, the galleries, museums, and institutions to gain knowledge and get accustomed to the new technologies that are available.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. Clearly it has existed now for decades, but I think that the pandemic has accelerated this process. I mean, on many levels and in many aspects of society and economy and the art sector, the cultural sector. So it's like speeding up things towards specific directions that perhaps we would have come to them anyway, but perhaps later on. I'm gonna go back to Luis again and ask about the cost of all these tools that you have presented to us. Are they affordable for independent curators like Eleni or Mikaella, for example?
Yeah. So this is the $1 million question. Whenever it comes to technology, it's all about how much it costs, how feasible it is, if you can actually if there is the knowledge to use this technology. So we spoke about some, the augmented, the virtual, and the mixed realities environments. So there are a wide range of hardware in different type of prices. Let's look at the example of virtual reality. Okay, until very recently, it was known to be a very expensive and a very resource-intensive technology, which was challenged by a lot of technical requirements and there were actually a lot of technical issues. Those headsets were very difficult to wear. They were heavy. In order to generate an experience, you had to have like a very, very heavy and expensive gaming laptop next to you. But however, recently, with all these technological advancements and things becoming smaller and cheaper, VR is now an affordable and a mature technology, which is actually customer-ready technology. There are a lot of head-mounted displays that are for sale now, which are actually very affordable compared to where it were not too long ago, let's say 7-10 years ago, as well as being convenient, easy to use. They're not heavy, and they're actually really portable. They're a lot more comfortable than previous versions. In fact, technology is now at this stage that virtual reality can actually be even adapted into our smartphones, which is the extension of ourselves these days. Is our personal digital twin. It's reducing the dependency on those expensive hardwares, and by the use of I was actually looking to see, because I did have one of those cheap cardboard head-mounted displays here. So essentially, with a cheap cardboard display, which costs about £15, and your smartphone, you can immerse into some really decent virtual reality experiences. And then talking about smartphones, the augmented reality world, where you hover over things with your smartphone and it generates information. You've got like a nice piece of art, which you hover over it and you get additional information and more information. So utilizing the power of the smartphones, the visits that the visitors of those exhibition spaces have into their pockets could actually, provide inclusivity of the technology and make it more affordable and be able to use it in numbers. Now, obviously, for high fidelity experience, like very high fidelity experience, there are hardware requirements which are actually expensive, but it can be done. A very decent VR experience can be done with relatively cheap costs. For instance, because I'm coming from the educational point of view, we're using virtual environment to support students. We've created the Museum of Robotics in collaboration with the Center of Automation and Robotics Research and my colleague, Dr. Liuba Albul, which our students can use their smartphones and immerse into this museum, where the students that they do robotics at the university are showcasing their work. At the University of Central Lancashire, the Cyprus campus, I will be building the kind of a museum of gaming, so my students can actually present their work to other people that they want to visit their museum. We do some work in collaboration with the Center of Algorithmic Transparency at the Open University of Cyprus to develop online 3D environments for training purposes. So we will be using the smartphone VR and the cheap cardboard devices in order to allow people, any numbers, to immerse and train about concepts related to fairness and accountability, etc. So XR has a taste for everyone, and it has the price ranges. But my key point is that it can now be implemented because there are affordable solutions that provide a good experience. Yeah. You're muted though.
I have muted myself and I've forgotten. And when I started talking, actually, technology reminded me that I am muted. Yes. Thank you very much, Luis. Fantastic, amazing. And yes, I have another question which is related to this, and it's more like addressing our curators here. So how sustainable is this kind of enterprise for independent curators or show producers, or even for the artists? Can one actually make money out of it?
Well, I think so. There are galleries that exhibit, sell and auction artworks. So this is, or even there's a huge power in the social media that artists can also sell their work and promote themselves and their work online. So I guess these are powerful tools that can be used. On the other hand, as the art as such is ephemeral online, so there is always a question of how to preserve this art. So I guess, I mean, I think there are some platforms that you can preserve online art and so, but I think this is a matter that should be taken into consideration when doing online art or virtual events, because we definitely don't want that the artist, when they create something, it suddenly disappears after like a month or so. So it's really important that we find ways to preserve the art.
Yes, and it's fascinating how after a year, a website already looks old. So it's like we are in a constant process of refreshing, updating ourselves. I mean, even Facebook works like that, refreshing themselves. And even we do that to ourselves through social media, updating our status, our image, and so on. Talking about ephemerality, of course. Marina, I think you wanted to say something.
Yes, in the question about the, I suppose on what Eleni was saying about, yes, the artists are able to sell their work online and promote themselves very, very well. But I think for me, it's more of raising the alarm or raising caution about how we should also be cautious of not to exploit the artists as and I'm talking from the organizers or the curators' point of view, and always bearing in mind that while it is an online exhibition, the artist has beat the performance artist, the actor, the painter, the fine artist. They have spent time to create their work, and it's from what they live from that. So we should always bear in mind that anyone who's doing such an exhibition, if they can afford it, if it's a funded exhibition, always bear in mind of the artist's fees and put that aside as well.
Absolutely, yeah, very, very important. So any last comments, guys, because I think it's about time to wrap up. Any tips for future projects? Maybe we know that Mikaella is and her colleague Katerina are putting together a new project, which is going to be on the 19th of October.
19th of October, yes.
Yeah. Any other curatorial projects for Eleni or Marina?
Go ahead, Marina.
No, go on.
No. Of course, there will be more projects coming up, but they're still in the womb, let's say.
Great.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that we shouldn't forget to mention that Together Apart is back online today, and it will be for the rest of the month in the Cyprus at 60 website. So if anyone wants to visit it, they can do so through the website.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you. It was actually in my concluding notes, but you're entitled to say it first anyway, because you were the curator. You are the curator of this exhibition, and yes, on Together Apart, going new places, is reviving itself as part of the Cyprus at 60 online festival, and will be available to visit on our website until the end of October. Thank you very much, Luis, Eleni, Mikaella, Marina. Thank you very much for this very interesting and very informative discussion. This is all for today. Cyprus at 60 goes again live tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m. UK time, 7 p.m. Cyprus time, with a live symposium this time, organized by the Cyprus Center at the University of Westminster. Hosted by Dr. Petros Karatsareas, a panel of leading academics in the UK and around Europe will present to us the languages of Cyprus. Thank you again, guys, and have a good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye.